Hey, gun people. So, Steve did a video on this new law that creates a 8-foot zone. And he covers some interesting points. I'm going to kind of respond to a couple of his points and give you my take on it. Basically, Arizona passed a law that says you can't record a cop within 8 feet. And most shootings happen between 5 to 8 feet, 5 to 7 feet. Lunging distance is what police use. When you're in lunging distance of me, you're a threat. So 8 feet, that's probably where it came. He's got his own little thing for that. But they did put some exceptions in it. When I first heard the law, I was like, this is kind of bullshit. They're trying to stop free speech, and I don't like that. However, my bigger problem with this is when you give a cop a tool, they're going to abuse it. And luckily, the legislators did kind of see some things, and they put some safe holds in here. So let's see what Steve said. I've already watched it, but I'm going to bounce through it.
The news in the next few days and weeks. It's a hot topic. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signs bill that bans close recording of law enforcement.
I've got him on fast,
is,
too.
You're recording the police on your cell phone, say, or a camera. So let's suppose you actually have a video camera, and you're recording them. And what's the deal here? Fox 10 has this story, but also the Arizona Republic has some details. 8 feet, 8 feet, or 2.4 meters, for those of you who are metrically inclined. Under the new law, it is a misdemeanor if you keep recording after getting a verbal warning to stop.
Okay, so that's a good point. They made it to where the cops just can't say, hey, you're recording me with 8 feet, I'm going to snatch you up and throw you in jail. They said, no, the cop has to warn you. Kind of like you have to get notice about not carrying a gun in a place. If you walk in a place and you're carrying a gun and the owner says, hey, I don't want people carrying guns in here, you have to leave, that's giving you notice. That's required. So the law requires cops to give you notice. Now, what it didn't say is how long do you have to respond. Because I guarantee you there's going to be video of a guy saying, you're within 8 feet, get back. And if you don't immediately run, they're going to grab you and say you got notice and you didn't move. You're under arrest. It's going to happen because cops are going to push the line. So they didn't say, I would have rather the law say something like a cop must give a warning and give you a reasonable amount of time to comply with that warning. I would have rather the law say that. You have to make laws more requirement on government because government has all the power. And so I would have rather to had that.
So technically speaking, you record all you want, but if they tell you to stop, at that point you need to back up, get out to 8 feet, and you're recording your own interaction. You are allowed to keep
Okay, so here's another exception that I'm glad the legislator did.
Including if the police are talking to you and you're recording your own interaction. You are allowed to keep recording.
So they put that exception in there. So a cop, if he's interacting with you and he don't want you to videotape him, he can't say, stop, you're in violation of the 8-foot rule. So when they train cops on this new law, they're going to look, don't be telling people they can't clue if, one, they're in a vehicle, because that's another exception. You're in close quarters. Two, you're inside a house or private dwelling. Again, close quarters. You can't make them leave their house to stop recording you. Or three, you ask them to move and they don't. So that's some good exceptions.
At that point, even if you're within 8 feet of the police officer, because presumably you are a party to that transaction and you have a more vested interest in recording it. While supporters say the law is meant to protect law enforcement from harm or distraction, critics say the law is unconstitutional, does nothing to enhance transparency.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, most all laws are, if you look at the strict meaning of the Constitution, it's unconstitutional. But, this law seems pretty reasonable until the cops start abusing it. I would have also liked the law to say that if an officer arrests somebody for this law and it is deemed that they did not violate it, the officer is civilly liable. I would really like that. I think all laws ought to say that. See, unfortunately, they have limited immunity or qualified immunity, whatever you want to call it. That's for civil. You can't sue them. I like when laws say a cop does this, he is civilly liable, period. That's the next law that needs to be overturned is immunity for police officers because it's totally abused.
And those, of course, are the two sides to this. And the question is, if someone is on the officer is questioning somebody, and you walk up to that scene, you have no idea what's going on. You simply came upon a police officer questioning somebody. So you pull out your phone and you walk right up to them and you stick your phone right there. So the cop is here, the person is here, and you stick your phone right between them. Okay? And
now that would get into obstruction because I can't do my business with you putting things in my face. So I think that would be a fairly easy obstruction charge if somebody shoved a phone in your face. They're shoving something. You don't know if they're armed. They're not involved in the contact. They're interfering with your duties to communicate with the other person. I'm not into stopping people filming, but the example that Steve just gave to me, there's already laws in place that would prevent that. So I don't think we need new laws for that.
And yes, I'm purposely making it clear we'll be allowed to take close-range recordings of Arizona police under a new bill signed into law. It's House Bill 2319, sponsored by State Rep, after being verbally warned, and they continue recording after the warning. Exceptions are made for people at the center of an interaction. So if it's your interaction, you can record it. Anyone standing in an enclosed structure on private property where police activity is occurring.
So it sounds like it's a pretty reasonable law. They've kind of said, hey, we're going to give the exception to where cops can't abuse it. But you can't make a law that cops can't abuse. So somebody was thinking, look, if we just say 8 feet, we'll have cops stopping everybody in a car, arresting everybody. They'll go in their homes. They'll contact people in the bathroom and say you can't film. And because they can't get 8 feet away, they'll be arresting everybody. So it sounds like Arizona, which is, I think, kind of pro-patriot, pro-constitution, pro-gun, it sounds like their legislators put some thought into this. If you want to go watch Steve's full video, you can. I don't know if this law is going to get overturned or not. I don't know if it's that big of a deal. What'll be a big deal is how cops figure out how to abuse it. That'll be the big deal. All right. So that's the new law about recording, no recording zones, or you can't record Arizona cops within 8 feet unless you fall under the exceptions. And the cops must warn you first. All right. We'll end that there.